Hi, I'm Steve Olmos. Today I'm going to talk another aspect of the real estate market and the buying of a home, the dreaded home inspection. Yes, as an agent, one of the most important parts of our job is to look out for our clients. I know that after hours, if not months, in some cases years of working with a client, it sometimes gets hard to advise your client to do a home inspection because it could hurt or kill a deal. But agents, we must. Advising the client to do a home inspection can be one of those issues we would like to avoid. The home inspection should be done by a licensed contractor, someone that knows what they are looking for and what they are looking at while going through the property. The home inspector should have no other interest in the property but to give you a full report on what was found. Believe it or not, there are some inspectors that will lean in favor of the seller because they feel that if they give a detailed report and the deal falls apart, they could lose future business from the agents, both the agent representing the seller and the agent representing the buyer. And yes, there is times when inspectors go too far and list items on a report that should not be listed. In California, a home inspector does not have to be licensed or bonded. If an inspector does a poor job, though, or does not disclose possible problems of the property and something goes wrong, not only will the inspector be sued, but so will the seller and the agents involved. So, if you're an agent, you will need to prepare your clients for a property inspection. If you represent the seller, let them know that a home inspection is not only good for the buyer, but good for them, because it will point out the possible problems if that are not disclosed to a buyer. They could be held responsible and end up in court someday. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, but I have been selling real estate since 1980. In California, that upfront time frame that the seller could be responsible for could be up to a year. Now, if the seller doesn't disclose and the buyer can prove fraud in any way, then the time frame for fraud is 3 years after it is discovered. So it's good for the buyer also, though, of course, because it points to know the buyer up front, to point out the upfront problems with the property or with the house, and they can decide to move forward with the purchase, negotiate a solution with the seller, or cancel, which the seller and the agents really don't want to do or hear. But if the buyer cancels, at least the seller or the agents are not being sued. As for myself, I want a full disclosure. And so if there is any problems, I can work with the buyer or the seller for a solution. Over the number of years that I've been buying and selling real estate as an agent, I've maybe had one transaction that came apart because of home inspection. And I may have been advising the client not to continue with the transaction. When I'm representing a seller, I always go over the possible problems of the property and disclose as much as we know is possible to the buyer. No matter how big a headache a home inspection can be, it's just one more way to avoid being sued. At the end, when all is done, you will have probably a happier seller, a happier buyer, and possibly some great referrals for the future. Anyway, this is Steve Olmos. One more issue with real estate in 2014. Thanks. Bye.